people from Washington, D.C. go into your office as a superintendent and say, we want you to be part of Race to the Top. Sign off on this and we'll go. Well, I haven't seen Race to the Top yet. What is it? We'll tell you later. That's what they're doing. Okay, citizen journalist, that's what all of you are. I know you should be up about that one. Anyway, Matt Drudge, we're celebrating the 15th anniversary of the Drudge Report. Actually, yesterday was the 15th anniversary. And Matt Drudge is somebody who has no diploma, no college, but he decided on his own that he would use the internet just in his email services to start informing people about stuff that he was finding out about. And within 2 years, he had 6 million visitors a month, 9 million visitors a month to his site. He became the world's first big-time citizen journalist. Now, this is the thing that's going on here with the media, and I'll explain why Obama has some problems. So let's go back. Obama's got some problems, reality distortion fields, I call them. Go back to Benghazi. I don't know about you, but when I was watching all the events around Benghazi that night on September 11, 2012, I was getting some great video cam shots from these terrorists who were going around blowing people up, right? Well, I didn't take a rocket scientist on my part to figure out we're being attacked, right? But what happened the next day was the narrative was, oh, it was a riot. It was all by this film. Yeah. Well, and of course, that was the ruse. I'm going to cut some things short here, but that was the ruse. There's going to be some stuff coming out about Benghazi that's going to absolutely be explosive. Benghazi parallels Extortion 17 in so many ways. The MO is the same. Who was in the office with the president on both nights? John Brennan. Well, yeah, people say they're starting to find out a little bit more, though. Some things are starting to come out. But it's been citizen journalists that have brought this to the fore. The internet, they can't stop. They're trying, they can't do it. They can't stop radio shows like mine. They're trying, but they can't do it. And we're not going to let them do it. Too much depends on this. And he has a real problem with internet news. He really does. They can't stop it. And the truth is getting out there. That's why I tell people when you listen to the show or you're just passing emails along, pass them. Make sure they're truthful. Don't get into things. Every once in a while we get caught up in some of these little scams that are out there. But pass them along. Get an email list to people that you know and get that information out there. It's devastating information for these people and they can't stand it. Anyway, citizen journalists, it's the new militia. Okay, this is where it comes into one at a time. Okay, this guy Friedrich Mercurius, this is his church. Actually, this is where he works. This is called the Church of St. Nikolai. And this guy right here is Roger Thoreau of the Wall Street Journal. When I went to the Olympics, I was on a quest basically to find out what caused the collapse of communism, or at least parts of it. And I had a chance meeting with Roger Thoreau of the Wall Street Journal, who happened to be the Wall Street Journal's chief correspondent for all of Eastern Europe. He spent 20 years in Eastern Europe and Africa reporting on events in the world, including the Berlin Wall fall. And he met with all the East European leaders and did interviews with them. Come on. I'm going there to study about the collapse of communism. And the morning before the Olympic ceremonies, I meet him. What's wrong with that picture? So we started, it's the kind of thing when you're in a foreign country, the guy looks at you and says, are you an American? Yeah, I am. What was the giveaway? My Hawaiian shirt with my shorts. Anyway, so we had a 3-hour conversation. It was the most riveting conversation I've ever had, one of them. And he said, if you want to find out about what happened in the final days of the collapse of communism, you need to go to this church and talk to that man. This church right here is one of the churches where Bach played. You go inside, it's just pristine marble white. But this is where Bach was playing one of his first organs, was this church. So I go to Leipzig. After the Olympics, I go, well, get on the train, go back to Leipzig. So going to Leipzig, it's a totally socialist, still communist state. A big city, imagine Sacramento with no cars, no people on the streets. Of course, it's getting that way anyway now. But imagine, and that's the way Leipzig was. It's a big city, no occupants. That's just the way it was all the time. So I walk over to this church of St. Nikolai, and I run into his son, actually. And I said, well, Roger Thoreau, threw out the name. He said to come in and see your dad. Okay. So he marches me over to the school. An old building, really old building. March up inside the hallway, big long hallway, and he marches me down towards the end of the hallway where there's no doors. I'm going, I should be remembering what that guy at the State Department told me. So anyway, I go down to the end of the hall, and all of a sudden he pushes on the wall and a door comes open. Okay. But there's no doors at the end of that hall. It's just so I go in, and there's Friedrich. And I start to introduce myself, and the first thing he does is this. You see, the secret police were still at work. The secret police, or the Stasi, were still in business. Nothing had changed. And he wanted me to be quiet, and he wanted to know who I was. Of course, I was kind of decked out like a Southern California guy, and so he knew that there was something wrong with that picture. And so, anyway, first thing he did is he sat me down in a chair, and then, total silence, he takes another chair and sits down right in front of me. We're knee to knee. And his comment to me was, "Are you a Christian?" I thought, I've traveled all this way to be asked if I'm a Christian, and I'm in a church. You know, I mean, that's California thinking, right? You're not in East Germany living there. You don't get it. I wasn't getting it. And I said, yes, of course I am. And he says, do you go to church every Sunday? I thought to myself, this is like my dad here. And I said, I couldn't take it anymore. And I kind of, nervously laughed, and I said, well, I don't go every Sunday. And he started to laugh, and he kind of got it. We had a great conversation, about 2.5 hours, and he told me how they brought the communists to their knees. It wasn't a real big secret. You see, the Stasi governed everything you did, knew everything about you, had all the data about you. If you ever see the movie Swing Kids? It's a great movie to talk about this. The secret police controlled every little aspect, and they had to have strict confidence that who they were talking to was a real Christian and would not turn them in. Because that was in the day when they would be taken out and shot. So they started with what they called the Monday night masses. And they called it that. Kind of appropriate, it's Monday night, isn't it? Monday night masses. And he said, what we did is we started out with 2 people, 12 years before the wall fell. And then about a month later, we added another 2, and another 2, and another 2. And every Monday night, they would meet and hold mass. You see, going to church on Sunday meant it was just the pastor up there and the guy from the Stasi in the audience. That's what Sunday Mass was all about. Monday Mass was different, because this is where real faith was being taught and discussed. And so he told me that the movement grew and grew and grew until there were thousands and tens of thousands of East Germans. The Stasi had heard about it, but as time went on, they couldn't stop the momentum. And November 9th, 1989, it all came to a head. Yeah, that was the night that the East German, well, the Russian, the Soviet police did not confront anybody who was at a Monday Mass. And everybody knew the wall was going to come down, and it did. You see, it was one person at a time. That's what we have to do, and we can do that. That's our only defense, is one person at a time. We have really, I got to tell you this, it's going to sound really absurd. We have the media. We own the media. Have you noticed lately the mainstream media is not really friendly with the Obama administration? I'm not worried about the mainstream media anymore because they don't count. The mainstream media does not count anymore. They're a relic. They're a relic. They're gone. It's the internet that counts. It's the citizen journalists that count. We had Minutemen when we Started out the revolution, now we have citizen journalists who are doing warfare in a different way. But let's not make any mistakes about it. This is warfare, and they want to destroy our country, and we're not going to let them do it. Any questions?
The race to the top, have all states bought into that?
No.
It's a no-brainer, California.
Well, we did because we're desperate for the money, and that's exactly why we did it. I got to tell you, I know people in the Department of Ed and in the state legislature that were screaming and having screaming matches with the governor's staff over the signing of that bill. But we're desperate for money, so that's what they should. And the Obama administration knows that, so that's what they did that for. The other thing too is it's not just all states. In some states, because they haven't signed on board, what the Obama administration did, and make no mistake about it, because I've heard this from teachers in the area and also in Southern California, that they're saying that their administrators are telling them, oh, it's not related to Obama at all. BS. This is strictly Obama and Arnie Duncan working together. But what they have done is told people that, well, actually what they've done, if a state doesn't want to get into it, they'll go and approach the large school districts in the state, bypassing the State Board of Education. How's that one? Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's how they use it.
Yeah, that's how they unify. Yes, ma'am.
On the Common Core, I heard a radio talk show about it, and the publishing companies for all of our textbooks have all been bought by one
Pearson, correct.
person. Even though they're keeping their names, they no longer are
Right.
each one of those
There's
individuals.
been a consolidation of all the
Yes.
textbooks.
And then each child will get a computer,
Right.
and then that computer can be tracked. Everything on
Correct.
that computer, where it traveled,
Let's
and
see.
everything. But that's not,
Who's involved with making software?
gee whiz, I wonder.
Yeah. Okay, Pearson Education is the big building.
Yeah.
Pearson Education is out of London. Okay, Common Core is not just in California or our 50 states. If you go to Kenya, you'll find the same Common Core over there. And, oh, by the way, you'll find the exact same testing regime over there as you find here. You see ETS, Educational Testing Services, they get a lot of money for testing these kids. Kids get no benefit from these tests. Did you know that? These kids get nothing out of these tests. Nothing. These tests are all for the adults, all for the big people with big money. That's all that they're there for. And by the way, we haven't even gotten into the curriculum standards for Common Core, which are all dumbed down. They are very much dumbed down. So that's part of course, if you want to talk about American history in Common Core, oh, you ought to see some of the stuff that's in there. Yeah.
I heard a presentation today that was touting Common Core as a deeper thinking.
For those that would, is it deeper thinking for those with mental constipation? Where'd I go over that one? John.
Yeah, I have regret, and I'm very impressed that about 3/4 of them think that I'm a nut, and that I'm sure my story is stuff. They bought this line of six for the social.
Right.
Don't we have to do something about that for the next generation?
Yeah, we do. We have to.
Can you
Well-
repeat the question somewhat? We can't hear.
Yeah, he was asking about the next generation of kids that are coming up because they're so wedded in socialism right now. They bought it hook, line, and sinker that they don't know, like, it's a different realm from what we're dealing with and intellectually know about our country and so on. And that is a problem that's been by design. That has been by design. And that's what we have to recapture in terms of an initiative for the kids. We have to get back into that. We have to get back into the schools in a big way. And one of the big ways you get back into it is making sure your school districts do not buy into Common Core. Now, by the way, if you really want to be rebellious, the teachers that are out there, you don't have to teach Common Core. It's voluntary. It's kind of like dealing with mass hysteria. Did you know that? Common Core is voluntary to teachers. Teachers don't have, I'm telling you, the first place this is gonna be, it's already revolting right now in a lot of places. There's a lot of teachers, a lot of school administrators that are abjectly opposed to this in a big way. I think that we have a real opportunity to fight with the teachers. The teachers that are out in the field aren't those same ones that we deal with in the unions, at the union shops down here in Sacramento. They're different. They're independent. And you know what? Teachers that are independent thinkers really are very good teachers. But they've been restricted and bottled up and told what to do for so long, they've lost a lot of teaching skills. But they're good teachers. And think back, when we had the best education system in this country, we had autonomous school districts, and our teachers were free to do as they needed to do with curriculum.
Did the Republican Party finally vote to reject Common Core?
I'm not aware of that.
Agenda 21 they did.
Agenda 21 they did.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of. Yeah.
Does the school testing have anything to do with the teachers, their performance?
They're trying to tie that in through Common Core.
So, yeah, so it's Common Core, if they don't teach Common Core and they don't meet those testing goals,
Right.
what happens?
They
to the
lose-
teacher?
Well, they want to get that in the evaluation process for the teacher and ultimately get the teachers fired. Okay, that's, what that does is if that's the case is the fact and gonna be the fact, which it's not gonna be. I'm telling you right now, the teachers can ignore that, especially tenured teachers. They can ignore that. And that's what I'm gonna call teachers to do. Ignore it, walk away from it. Give them the big things. Just do that. That solves the problem. Now, that creates problems if you are one of those teachers, though, and you're kind of all Twitter about the sanctions that might come down on you, because what you're gonna do is teach to the test.
And that's what happens.
Let's have one more question and then we'll have to get wound up. Dominic?
Yeah, Paul, my understanding is that some of the teachers across the country have gone to some training on how to deal with this new Common Core. Has locally, like Yuba County or anybody here
Yes.
locally, they've done that?
There are some that are starting their Common Core training this summer during August, and they're being incentivized with money and so on. They don't have to go, it's voluntary. Everybody, it states it right up there administratively, that it's voluntary to go to. I would suggest teachers not go. A good teacher is gonna teach to any standard anyway. You don't need the federal government to tell you how to teach. That's really what it comes, Dominic, what's your business?
I taught for a year, long time ago. I got out and got into the computer industry.
Okay,
I'm aware of most of what you talked about tonight.
but how would you like it if Uncle Sam said you're gonna do this today, Dominic?
I would not.
That's, like Uncle Sam said, we're gonna take away your
One more,
numbers.
I want to say one more thing. Some of you guys know that I'm a naturalized citizen, and I can assure you, if back in '62, had I anticipated that this country was going to become what it is, I would not have become a citizen.
Well, Dominic, let me say this about that. We're glad you're a citizen. We're very glad you're a citizen. But the other part of it, is that our country is being attacked.
Yeah, no.
It's a bigger picture. It's been going on for years, and we just need to wake up.
Thank you for doing that, what you're doing.
Thank you.
Let's give Paul a hand. We have just a couple more announcements.